Okay, so this question is asking us about this integer n, and we've got these conditions here. If n is odd, we need to print weird. Otherwise, if it's even, then, and in the range 2 to 5, then we print not weird. So it's either odd or even, right? So that's the first thing that we need to figure out, is whether or not n is odd or even. So I'm going to write a function initially. So check we've got Python 3 here. I'm going to write a function called isEven for some input value. And then I'm going to say, remember, if it's divided by 2 and has a remainder of 0, then it's even. So we're going to return whether or not a value and 2 is equal to 0. So if it is, if it divides exactly by 2, then there's no remainder, in other words, 0 remainder here, and therefore we know that this would return true if this is even. And we also want basically perhaps is odd, and we might as well use the function isEven to determine that. So we're going to return not isEven, pass the same value over. Okay, so that will call this function, so it's the not of that. So if this returns true, then if it is even returns true, then odd will return false. So down in here, we've got our value of n. So now we want to say, let's go back to our thing up here. It says, if it's odd, print weird. Okay, so we can say, if odd, is odd, we're going to return print. What did it ask us to print? The word weird, isn't it? Yeah, weird with a capital W. So here we go. Weird with a capital W. Else, now we need to figure out, and print should be not capital P. Otherwise, it's going to be even. So let's put a little comment here. N is even, we know that. So what do we need to do if n is even? If it's even in the range 2 to 5, inclusive range, print not weird. So I'm going to say if 2 less than or equal to n, that's the inclusive bit, the less than or equal to, less than or equal to 5, print not weird. And let's just see what does it want us to say? Capital N, capital W. So print and then not weird. What else have we got here? So if n is even and 6 to 20, it's weird. So if 6 less than or equal to n less than or equal to 20, print weird. And the final one, if it's even and greater than 20, not weird. So the only thing that's left now is just to say not weird. So else. And that's one way of doing it, but a better way of doing it really would be to have a function called f is weird for a particular value. And then we're going to program this in here. So we're going to say if is odd a value, then we're going to return true, let's say, whether it's weird or not. Say else. Basically copy this stuff here. If, and it's not n this time, it's a value. And we want to print not weird, we want to return false. Weird, and here we want to return true. And here we want to return false. Okay, so, and now instead of doing this down here, we can then say if is weird n print weird and else print not weird. There we go, it's much nicer now, so we can determine whether or not any value, integer value, is weird by passing it through this function and then print the word weird or not weird depending. Okay, so let's test that now. Let's run the code. And output weird, your output I can't spell weird. W-I-E-R-D, W-E-I-R-D. Oh dear, typical computer scientist, right? So let's spell weird correctly. And try again, run code. And it seems to be going, yes, tick here and tick here. So let's run against the custom input, our own input. So we can input a 7. And 7 we get weird, so that was compilation successful. So it seems as though we have correctly done that. So let's submit that code now. And it tests all the possible cases, and we seems to have got them all correct here. Okay, so okay, so we get these points that we earn, and we can use our points to unlock what the test cases were. So I'm not going to do that too much because I don't want to waste all our tokens.